I'm Tesla, and this is Magically Mindful. Here I share my journey of growth and what it means to live authentically through life's polarity, the messy and the magical, the highs and the lows, and everything in between. Think of this as an open diary for your soul, here to remind you that you're never alone. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back to Magically Mindful, the podcast. It is March 2026. And March is significant because it marks 3 years of the podcast, which also coincides with my sobriety, 3 years of being sober. And it's funny because just last night I went out and had such an interesting outing, which we're going to get into, but just going out dancing. I rarely go out. I'm a 6'2" in human design. The 2 is the hermit. I've definitely spent a lot of time in the last year hermiting since I've been back in Calgary after getting deported, which also was a year ago as of this month. But right now we have Mercury retrograding in Pisces. And what I've heard about this is that it's a very introspective time. And about a month ago, I saw that there was this event happening, which I just went to, and it was an all Pisces, all female DJ thing, okay? And the last time I went out was November, and when I go out, I'm very intentional, like, I'm only gonna I'm only gonna go to a club if there's a DJ that I love playing. In this event, what drew me in, I didn't know who any of the DJs were, but I loved the fact that it was all female and that it was centered around it being Pisces. Also, I feel like I can't even, like, gather my train of thought here because I'm like, "What time is it?" We just had the time spring forward and also Mercury retrograde, so that rules our communication, Mercury does, and I'm, like, tripping over my words, so just bear with me. This is just as real as it gets, okay? But I did not have enough sleep, so we're gonna get into that. So I'm just kind of like, where am I? I also have made myself a delicious smoothie. You know when like I literally make this smoothie every day, but then when it just like hits, oh, mm-hmm. It's one of those. So I'm happy about that. My smoothie's very simple. I'm not doing protein powder these days, but simply just for the fact of budgeting. But I prefer the Kirkland, so Costco frozen berry mix with half or a full avocado and a scoop of peanut butter, a scoop of Greek yogurt, ideally one that's high in protein, and I do cashew milk, and that's it. And it's fucking delicious. So, yay. Anyways, going out, I don't do it a lot. Okay, you get the point. So, my one girlfriend and I actually had sent out a group message to a few of my girlfriends being like, "Hey, do you guys want to go to this in a couple of weeks?" And I would say probably 2 out of the 4 were a yes, but it ended up just being me and one of them, but the other girls still had went out as well, so this will all connect. But it's very interesting because the Pisces event was weird. Like, the music was really good. It was also free before 11 p.m., so we were probably there for 90 minutes, I wanna say. Mm, yeah, not even. Maybe, like, I don't know, about an hour, actually. And I had, like, some good chats with my girlfriend, and then we just, were vibing out to the music, but I was just like, for me, I don't really know if I consider myself a people watcher because I am the moment I'm a Leo. I had to say that. I just saw this reel where it was like, you wonder why Leos like are so Leo, and it's because we're ruled by the motherfucking sun, and the sun is the center of all the fucking things. So hello. But anyways, I'm literally just saying that as a joke. I love being a Leo, so I'm gonna own that. But with people watching, I think the biggest thing is, like, especially because I'm sober, I don't wanna lock eyes with someone who is wasted, like, and takes my eye contact, like, accidental eye contact as being like, "Oh my god, they wanna engage with me." And also, like, not long after we got there, this guy who was so drunk, like, stumbled towards us, and my friend didn't even really realize, but I'm, like, very aware of these things, and he's like, "Are you guys single?" And I was like, "No." Like, "Go away." And even if I was, I'm like, I'm always gonna fucking say no. So do better, okay? But I was like, oh, just so off-putted by that. But anyways, if I'm not people watching, then what am I doing? Well, I'm obviously dancing and I'll kind of just like zone into something. My favorite thing to do is to find my shadow and just dance with myself, but I did not find my shadow at all last night, and that's okay. But I also just felt like I was like I just felt weird like being out. Like I wanted to experience the music, and I love having dance parties with myself at home, and that became really clear to me by the end of the night that I'm like, "Oh my god, I'd way rather just do this at home and just, like, invite friends or just be by myself, I guess, with Dolce, my cat, who certainly does not love to dance with me, but that's okay, maybe one day." But, um, yeah, but what was interesting about last night was that I was very in my head, which I'm not usually like that, and that definitely was influenced by the fact that we're in Pisces season and Mercury is retrograding through the sign of Pisces, and so it is a very introspective time for a lot of us, and it was just very interesting to me, though, because my mind was like it felt like I was having an existential crisis, cancel clear delete, in the sense of I was, like, being very aware of, like, my surroundings while not actually looking around, in the sense of, "Oh my god, people die from substance abuse," like, "Will someone be hurt tonight in some form, like getting drugged or, like, taking too much or like, you know what I mean? And I don't, like, really think these things, like, I'm aware of them, like, I know that to be true, but it was just so weird to, like, be in the setting and then to have those thoughts, and then after a while, my friend was like, "Oh, like, so and so wants us to come to the other club." But I was like, "Well, there's no way that I'm gonna do that because the budget will not allow for it." Like, of course, it would be fun, but, like, my whole financial situation is still we're almost in Aries, and so things are gonna be, like, moving better and I feel like stabilizing, but I'm still crossing the bridge over to the other side. But yeah, it was interesting because I was like one of my girlfriend so 2 of my friends, Jill and Sally, it just came to my mind, so we'll just say that. Jill and Sally were in the initial group message that I made to be like when I tried to make the plans with everyone, but they ended up having other plans, but they both ended up at the same club, and then I'm trying to think of a name. Me and Lucy, we were at the the Pisces party together, but Sally was messaging Lucy being like, "You need to come here," like, both of us, but, like, "You guys should come here, blah, blah, blah," and I was like, "Well, like, I can't swing that," but then Lucy was like, "No, like, I'll pay for you, it's all good, like, you're gonna be driving me home anyways, like, I'm happy to do that, it's all good." So, lo and well, so we do end up going, but before that had happened, before we decided, I then had these thoughts of, like, just feeling, like, excluded and alone, and not because of the friends, but it was like it triggered a past version of me where I always have felt in groups of friends like I'm at the bottom of the fucking barrel, but I haven't felt that way in quite a while. Like, I feel like I've I don't wanna say shrink. I'm trying to think of what word would best describe, like, I have taken in my circle, like, I know who my real friends are and all of that, and I think a lot of that though, like, my inner circle, it is very one-on-one, like, it's not like my inner circle, not everyone is even friends with each other because these people don't even all live in the same place, but it was so interesting because my mind was just going to, like, why is it that I tried to make plans with everyone weeks back and then because, I mean, what did I say? Sally and Jill or Joe or something, whatever, Jill. Like, Jill had told me last night, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come to the club that you're going to." And she's like, "I'm for sure gonna be there." And then I called her when I got there and she was like, "Oh, we're actually gonna go to the other club first and just check it out." And then so these things were kind of like leading up to then where I ended up being mentally before we decided to leave the club and go and meet up with them. Like, I was like, why is it that I can't be, like, the first choice? And I don't even know if it's the first choice, but it's like, why tell me that you're gonna come and then I get there and then you're like, "Actually, I'm going somewhere else." But I also, as an adult, like, I know that I'm not here to control people, and I struggled with that as a teenager because, like, I just wanted to, like, feel valued, but I felt like within groups of different groups of friends that I had, like, I feel it felt like they would always choose each other before they would choose me. So it's so fucking interesting to me how that came up last night. And then, as you may or may not know, if you're new here, I am amidst my Saturn return, and I just feel more and more like years leading up to Saturn return, I had the awareness around it because I took an astrology course, also human design. Like, I had all of this prep in terms of awareness around what the Saturn return may be like, but now that I'm here, like, I'm like, yeah, I really don't fucking know. Like, I'm just trying to my intention for the year is just and this season is just to stay grounded and be open, honestly, and just stay positive because I've spent more than enough time feeling in doomsday and I'm not here for that anymore. But what's a theme, like, what seems to be so apparent is that I'm being met with a past version of me. And so, yeah, we go to the other club and it ended up being like way better in the sense of the fact that, like, we then got to join our group of friends and I ran into someone that I haven't seen in years and he was like, "For some reason I didn't even think you lived in Calgary anymore." So I was like, I just said Calgary very weird there anyways, but I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm here." So that was really nice, but I I had this thought finally when I came home later on. I was like, what does that version of me need? What does she need? Because I mean, and this is what Saturn return is. Like it brings it's so funny because my cat has major zoomies right now, but it brings I'm like getting distracted. It brings up past things to like resolve them once and for all, you know? So I'm still trying to make sense of it as I'm moving through it. So this is very like candid as I'm just quite literally moving through it. But I'm like, I feel like I've spent 8 to 10 years, honestly, working on my relationship with self, starting with self love, and then taking that to the next level of like healing my relationship with anger and becoming my own best friend. But I've felt like I've lost that. Like, the love that I have for myself is definitely solid, but I feel like it's just through going through the whole dark night of the soul, which I've spoke about on previous episodes, I lost touch of myself because I was so overwhelmed with the storm and being in the darkness. So I'm very excited because I keep seeing things about how for Leos, like this year is the luckiest for Leos. And, Chris Corsini in his tarot 2026 tarot forecast, the card that he pulled for Leo was Wheel of Fortune. So and I went to a full moon circle last week and I pulled good luck. So it's coming for sure, like, and that's what I'm coming out of. Of course, like, the Saturn return is only just truly starting. Like, I've spent more time pre-Saturn return versus actually being in it, and then there will be post. So, like, it's I know I just know that, like, I have no expectations for this time. But I know that there is like a big turning point in my life. But yeah, just this question of, what does that version of me need? Because I felt like I just through the whole mastering self-love, I'm like, okay, there's more here. But that's exactly what healing is, right? Like we heal certain parts of ourselves to then get to the next thing, like peeling a fucking onion, you know? So I'm like, okay, so all of these layers, but I just found it so interesting. And I also don't normally identify with loneliness because I do love being in my own company. And obviously, having my cat also helps that. Like, I don't truly feel alone, but I definitely felt alone when I was at the club, specifically the first club of the night. We just went to the 2, but the Pisces event, like, I was like and I don't know, maybe there was, like, energy lingering around that I was picking up on or something, but I was kind of like I don't know, it is just, like it is a mind fuck in the sense of when we get older, like, I don't really think I'm old, but, like, as we grow and, I'm approaching my 3rd decade of life, there's just these you just realize, like, you are fully responsible for yourself and, like, at the end of the day, it's just you. Like, you're the one putting yourself to bed and you're the one waking yourself up, and, like, I don't know, like, but this is the thing, like, we could sit here and fucking go down that rabbit hole, but I also don't wanna give in to the negativity of the mind, like, because that's also what I recognize because, with my girlfriend I can't even remember the fake names that I made now. Oh, well, Lucy, yeah, Lucy. Lucy and I were at the Pisces event together, and then Lucy was texting Sally. Well, Sally was messaging her, whatever, being like, "Come to the other thing." And so I could have like let my mind run the show because I did feel a little bit off. Like I was, but here's the thing: Lucy was like, "No, like, we made the plans to go together, so, like, if you don't wanna go to the other club, like, let's just stay here." But I was like, "I mean, I'm down to go, I just, like, like, I can't pay for it," you know? And I didn't want her to pay for me, but I really appreciate that, like, that was really sweet of her. Anyways, so I could have been bitter and, like, gotten allowed my mind to be like view the situation as like, "Oh my god, like they don't like me, they don't wanna hang out with me," but, like, Kent's clearly like, I know none of that is true. But if I would've just been like, "You know what? Salty about it. Fine, I'll just drive you there and, like, I'm gonna go home," then, like, obviously I would've, like, been pissed, but the reality was, like, it all ended up working out. And so, I think I want the message that I wanna share from this kind of brain dump here is bringing it back to the power of your mind is always gonna be the thing. It's just always gonna be the fucking thing because it determines the outcome. Like, we are powerful manifestors, each and every single one of us, like, that's fact. And I saw this video within the last week where it was like, this is the most important thing you need to know when you're dating. But I was like, oh, this goes beyond just dating. So they said LLL, those are like the three most important letters or whatever, which means lovers love life. And essentially, it was just speaking about the fact of how like attracts like. And so, how are you moving through your days? Like, are you seeing the beauty in everything, or are you, you know, being pessimistic and negative about everything? And I saw that video one, like, let's say it was like Monday last week. And then by the time I went to journal before bed, I reflected on that video and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I got this glimpse of this version of me that I worked so hard to get to, and that version of Tesla is the one that does see the beauty in everything and is inherently positive and even through the dark moments." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to invite that back into my life, you know?" And then the next morning, I was up early for a 6 AM workout, but it was when the eclipse happened, and then as soon as I went out to my car, I wasn't expecting, like, to see anything, but I got to see the literal eclipse. It wasn't the moon wasn't red, but I don't think I've ever actually witnessed an eclipse with my own eyes, and it was so magical. It was the coolest fucking thing, and it, like, absolutely made my day, and I just felt like that was literally the universe being like, "Here you go, like, yay, you remembered," you know? But it is just crazy how this experience can take us on very unexpected twists and turns, and, like, it feels like we go off path, like, that's how I've definitely felt, but, I mean, also what I know to be true is that we are always exactly where we're meant to be, but I can't say that I've been loving I mean, I feel like I'm definitely making a conscious effort to be more positive again because this whole like fucking season, which is definitely a part of my Saturn return because it's happening in my fourth house of like foundations, home, life, blah, blah, blah. Like my financial situation that's been ongoing. But again, like thank God I'm actually working like full hours at both of my jobs now, which is wonderful. But I'm still, there's still that kind of transition that has to happen first, like going from not full-time hours to going full-time hours and like the payroll, blah, blah, blah. But just like, financial stress is very real, and it's not something that I've ever truly had to experience before. So that has been very, like, mind fucky for me. And, you know, what really sent me down the dark night of the soul was, spending all summer manifesting a 65K salary job, remote job, thinking I had it in the bag, and then I didn't. And then I'm like, well, fuck, like, now what the fuck am I gonna do? But everything is working out, like, it better than I could have imagined, but it took time. And I think that just, like, fucked with me because it was like I just, like, was so, like, I feel like up until that point, maybe I was naive, but then I'm like, is it naive? Naivety? I don't know. Like, I I definitely have blind faith, but I feel like that situation kinda jaded me because that blind faith goes hand in hand with, like, manifestation. And I literally just said, like, we're all powerful manifestors. So, I don't know, but it just, like, fucked with me so heavily that now I just, like, slowly but surely I'm coming out of that darkness, which is great. Like, what I can say is that I feel so much better than I did even 1, 2 months ago, you know? Um, and that's something to always be grateful for. But yeah, just what kind of thoughts have you been having lately? And what can you do to bring more love and light to them? Because it's always a choice. It's always a fucking choice what we choose to fucking think, Because even if we can catch ourselves, like, we're human. We're gonna have thoughts on either side of the spectrum, good or bad, but it's always still a choice. And the more that we make the effort to flip the script from negative to positive, the more we rewire our brains so that that becomes our new reality, which is inherently more bright and positive. And, like, I fucking did that work. I did that work. That's why I'm like, I've said it on various episodes, like, I feel like I'm regressing and blah, blah, blah. But this also goes back to my point of, like, Saturn return, for whatever reason, I'm being met with the past version of me, but it's probably just to, I'm about to close out my 20s. Like, that's so much fucking growth has happened throughout my 20s. Like, it's crazy. It's really fucking crazy. And with to that point, I definitely, like, in the last episode, I was sharing about how I just want to show up and, like, have more fun on the podcast. And something that I love to do, and I literally heard this too. Like, I already was thinking this, and then I heard it from, like, an astrologer who was talking about, like, yeah, Leos are, like, the luckiest sign of the year. And she was saying post your singing and dancing videos. And I literally had a whole brainstorm with AI being like, this is what I love to do. I love to just make silly, funny singing and dancing videos, but, like, how do I do that on YouTube? Like, what is that, my vlog? Like, just fucking dancing around. And I was like, I don't, that doesn't really, but then I'm like, oh, YouTube shorts, because I stopped posting. I mean, TikTok would maybe be a great place for this, but I stopped posting on TikTok probably in September, and I have not re-downloaded it. And like I said, like, I really like the vibe of YouTube more than other social platforms. So, if you want to see that, go to my shorts. But in terms of things that I want to share on the pod that I haven't before, is I want to go into my archive of moments in my 20s, like, of my lore, things that I literally just, yeah, haven't shared yet, because I think the premise of the podcast, like, over these few years has been very much centered around healing, but now I'm like excited to share the versions of me that weren't healed and that maybe didn't even know what healing was. And that itself will be healing. And maybe that's what this past version of me wants, is to like bring light to that, to be like, yes, like we love, you are loved, you know? But I am such a nostalgic girly. Like, I have pulled all-nighters literally reading through old Facebook messages. Like, my first boyfriend, our whole relation, like, from the 8th junior high, 8th grade, our whole relationship is in Facebook messages. Like, and I remember, like, a couple years back, I literally, like, practically read through them all, and I was like, "This is crazy." So, yeah, I love to do that, like, I just love reminiscing. It brings me so much joy, so and I have some really great fucking stories, so I'm very excited to share those with you in upcoming episodes, but, yeah, let me know how this lands for you, what resonates, and where you're at as we have so much going on in the cosmos and just in the world. And as always, thank you so much for being here. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone you love, and let's keep the conversation going on Instagram at Magically Mindful Podcast. For collaborations and partnerships, email magicallymindfulpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please leave us a review so we can continue to grow this amazing community.